We live now? Well, thanks to Vimeo to helping us disconnect our entire live event, but at least people are here now. And in the background, I think Laura can maybe putting a message out there, or telling Lucy to put a message out to get everyone back to the new feed, because the old feed wasn't working properly.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody who is in the live feed. Thanks for sticking with us for a moment. That was a stressful 5 minutes that turned into 15 minutes.
Yeah. Check your watch.
But it's all right. We're here now, and we're here, and we've got stuff to talk about, right? We've got quite a few exciting things, but we're really just going to have a conversation more than anything else, right? The point of doing these live streams is just to get the message of where we are out there a little bit more. And there's been an awful lot of talk recently, and a lot of stuff that you'll have seen about the Apple Vision Pro, and that's brought to the light something that we've been talking about for quite a long time, which is having virtual products in the real world, or being able to use digital companions of your products against a real world product, right? And it's been quite useful, because I think a couple of months ago we went to an event. I remember that guy who could not figure out the difference of the virtual demo.
He's like, this is a video, right?
I was like, no, it's not video. And he was like, yeah, I don't see how this is any more beneficial than a video. And I was like, you give it a couple of weeks, right, and you'll see. So I asked you this then, how is it different?
How is it different?
To a video? Because that was the thing, it really irked me when I was like, that guy, he couldn't get over the hump. He thought he may as well just have a video.
Well, the reason that it's different to a video is A, it's not lost in time, and you can update it very, very easily. So if you're making any updates, or you want to add anything, so you want to add reagents or any consumables, you can do that as and when, and it's not you don't have to rebuild the whole thing. It's also very easy, so you don't have one video that's used for marketing and sales. You've got a tool that can be used across all different parts of the business. So it's essentially helping people to save costs. And it also allows people, humans, to go in and interact with it, so it can show different people, different parts and different functionalities. And it just helps to save people. So rather than sending a video and then having to follow up and travel around the world to do an in-person demo and ship the product somewhere, you can do it all through Envoke. And like you just said, you can be in a lab, you can have the instrument there, and you can have the virtual Envoke version there walking you through how to either fix it or clean it, and training you on how to use the system. So it's multi-purpose, ever evolving, not lost in time, amazing piece of technology. So
I have a theory that if videos were the solution, why is there still a problem?
Exactly,
And we know there's a problem because there are some figures that back up that there is a problem in the industry still. We've got some examples to show of how our product works with the Meta Quest 3 and the Apple Vision Pro. We had a promise to our customers that we'd always make sure they're ahead of the curve. So our platform has to work on the new tech that comes out. I had a fascinating conversation with a client about a week and a half ago, who said they just had a meeting about the Vision Pro, and they're like, what are we going to do about the Vision Pro? I said, you don't have to do anything about it. We've already done it for you. Envoke works already on that system.
But I think what's great is, whilst we're making sure that we're ahead of the curve and it works on all new tech, it also works on all the old tech as well. So if people aren't wanting to invest in the headsets and train people on how to use them, it's still available across every platform and every device.
It's access, right? Access is important. So it's all nice that it works on those things, but it is about access. But we've got, we're in a point where people are paying a lot of attention to the need to have virtual products, because you can now get your virtual products into the real world. The things that we battled against when we built the platform, we hit COVID, right, and the platform became really important for people. And then post that, people sort of return to the mean, right? People go, well, that was a COVID solution. I don't need COVID solutions anymore. The problems that we built Envoke to fix never were COVID-related problems. They were never COVID-related at all, really. They were problems with shipping. Post-COVID, shipping has become even more expensive than it used to be. Right? And now what you're seeing is that the issue that people in a lab have, and I should sort of preface this by going, Envoke is a product which is really tailored for clinical diagnostics and medical devices, right? The problem is that devices are shipped to customers, they are trained on them, and then they are expected to use them forever.
Yeah.
And those products start to fail over time, or people leave the lab, and there is not a consistent, measurable, scalable way of doing training at the moment.
Yeah.
Right? You can make a bank of videos, and you can do all the bank of videos and you send them out. The second you update that product, right, or something changes about the product, you've got to go back and redo those videos, and it's quite a painful process.
Yeah.
I know this because I've made videos for 20 years, right? It was great for me when somebody updated the product because I could remake the 20 videos, make it rain, right? So this that we've built at the moment doesn't require that. So we've got stuff to talk through though as well and sort of show. And if you don't know what Envoke is, it is a digital companion, right? Should have probably said this right at the start.
Yeah.
It is a virtual version of your product. We've got one here, which is the Biorad Bioplex 2200. It is a tool that we've built that allows each department, each cost center, an avenue to save money and increase revenue at the same time.
Yeah.
And that is what it's for. A video does not do those things, right?
Yeah, I think one thing is if you're wanting, because you're using it across all different departments, if there's an update made to the device, it's very easy to update it, like I said before, and it then once it's updated on the back end, it's updated everywhere immediately. So the training's up to date, the marketing material's up to date, the sales collateral is. Yeah. So I think that's really important as well. So everybody's always got access to the most up-to-date version of all the content. And it's not been built to replace people, like you say. It's built to enhance the process and also to make things more scalable on a global scale. Yeah. So yeah, that's just getting my 2 cents in.
Yeah, it's fine. I get it. Right. So it's a virtual deck, right? It's a virtual tool. It's a mimic of your real device, but we are going down the path now of the train and maintain version of Envoke, right? So let's talk about the problem, and we'll talk about some of the solutions. We found out when we were working with some of our customers that the problem is that decisions that are made in a hospital, for example, are always informed by the results. So you have a patient comes in and they're sick, so you run some tests, and those tests get done on machines. The machines that we build in Envoke, right? So we build virtual versions. Humans do that testing, right? Humans put that into the machine. Those machines need to be maintained. People need to be trained how to use them. The efficiency of those results is impacted by the proficiency of the people using it, right? The way it works at the moment is training is done in a block and then it's not expected to be done again.
Yeah.
So aftercare is becoming a problem. But it's so important because 2/3 of all medical decisions made by physicians are shaped by the information that they get from these machines. So the machines become really important, but the people using them are more important, right? We've got some other figures as well, right? When machines break, it costs about $2,000 to send somebody out to fix it. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Especially when these machines run 24/7, right? So you're in a hospital, they tend to not close, right? So because they're running all the time, maintenance is quite a lot. So you average out about 8 per device, right? So in a year, each device will need an unplanned maintenance call about 8 times. And this one was a big one. This came from a Beckman Coulter paper that I read. Right? So it's coming from the industry. It's not just figures that Stuart pulled out of nowhere. Downtime incidents, that can be one machine that's broken, right, has created a $740,000 hole because of that one incident. Now, if you're having 8 of them in a year in one hospital for one device, these numbers scale quite a lot.
That's a lot of cash.
That's a lot of cash, right? We're not necessarily saying that we're going to fix everything with that, right? But what's important is to understand why a machine broke.
Yeah.
Right? But to understand why a machine broke, we need to get way more data. The thing at the left-hand side was from the lab management company, the lab management publication, which is just a great resource of like everything that's happening in a lab, right? I don't know this stuff. I was a filmmaker for a long time. I didn't know any of this information. So lab management's been really, really useful. So they did a survey, sort of main causes for unplanned downtime. The sample preparation, right? This is something that Envoke can solve, because sample preparation is an ongoing training process, because sample prep gets frozen in time, but then it gets updated, right? So it's never frozen in time, but it's sold as something that's frozen in time. So you have to keep on training people on it. Instrument breakdowns, obviously, not everybody can fix an instrument, but what we've found is that most breakdowns are because the sample preparation has not been done properly. Mm-hmm. The glass that's been put in, that's holding the sample, hasn't been put in properly, and that's what's creating this cascading bunch of issues. Operator technician error. So the person just didn't know how to use the machine properly. Yeah. Right. So they've got the sample prep right, they've put it into the machine right, and then they press the wrong button and it's done the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So that's the reason these things are breaking.
So the good thing then about Envoke is, for example, you can have a QR code to your Envoke training session on the side of the machine that you're using. And you can then, rather than having to sit through a 10-minute video, going through a whole sequence of things that you don't really need to know, or things that you're not really using at that time, you can skip right to the bit to say, I'm not 100% sure how to do this process or how to insert this piece of glass. I just want to skip to that, and it will take you 30 seconds rather than half an hour to then go back and watch all of these unnecessary steps. So
you're also moving away from it, right? You're moving away from the product to go and do that training outside somewhere else, right?
Yeah, exactly. And trying to find where it is and where it's hosted. Yeah. So the benefit of it is it's a quick fix, and it's actually, you know that it's easily there. You can scan it on your phone, so you're more likely to use it and go through the training. Yeah. So therefore, user error becomes less frequent.
Yeah, and that's all we're looking for here, right? And the reason we're looking for that, if you look at the bottom ones there, so main measures to reduce unplanned downtime, increase the use of automated systems. That's not something Envoke can necessarily fix, right? But that's the way the industry's going. But just because you put some automated systems in there, they are handing over more to the machine, which means there's more pressure on the machine. So it means that point where you still require a person to do something becomes more important, because by automating it, the person better press one button and walk away from it. If they got any of those other bits wrong, they're now walking away from the machine, right? They might not find out it's broken for an hour.
Yeah.
Better after-sales service from manufacturers. That is what Envoke solves.
Yeah.
The Envoke platform, the train and maintain version of Envoke, taking the virtual product and putting it in people's hands so they have the capacity to learn in Envoke consistently. That's the biggest thing that we fixed. Reduce instrument troubleshooting time. I didn't know about this one until recently. Finding out what's wrong with the machine is a problem. Right? So you're in the lab and you're working away and it breaks, and you ring up the manufacturer.
999.
Not 999. You're already in the hospital.
Okay,
right? So probably don't do that. You ring up the technician. You're like, my machine isn't working. I go, what's wrong with it? I don't know. Like, well, can you tell me what happened? It's like, well, it's flashing a red light. This process takes so long to understand, right? Because they haven't got a reference of a working machine to point back to go, I was doing this in these steps. That's what Envoke helps with. And we found out from doing a bunch of research that up to 40% of all call-outs could have been solved by the person in the lab.
Yeah.
So we go back to that other figure there, that 740,000, well, 40% of those could have been fixed if people were trained properly. But the training is difficult because it's quite antiquated and people find it laborious to constantly train on these machines because it's not an easy process, because you sort of have to do it all in one block, and you have to retain that information, and you just expect it to get on with it.
Yeah.
What's fascinating about the way training's done as well is a lot of the time the training isn't even done in the lab, it's done at the manufacturers.
Yeah, so it's just expensive. There's huge wait lists.
But it's not like you get the machine, you install it, and there will be some on-site training done there, but if you're not there, if you're not present for it, you're not learning in your own space, right?
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's easy to forget, right?
Of course it is. We forgot how to set up the LinkedIn thing a minute ago, right? I'm looking at Tom, he looks pretty angry.
Yeah, so I think it is, you know, just doing it once is never ever going to go into your brain, and you're going to remember how to use a very complex system or instrument over and over again if you're not going and using that or doing that particular process for X number of months.
Well, if you do it, you might only do certain bits of it at certain times.
Yeah.
So if you're only doing certain bits at certain times, why are you going to remember anything? I have said this quite a few times before. I was a filmmaker for a long time, and I've mentioned that. And I go back to, it happened actually the other day in the office. One of our animators, Laura, she sat behind you. She asked me a question about After Effects, and I went over and I couldn't remember any of the buttons.
No.
I just couldn't. She was like, "Do you know how to do this?" And I was like, "I have done it in the past, but you're knocking on 2 years since I did it."
Yeah, of
and
course.
And the information is just not retained. Because even though I've got a memory like an elephant, it's also got a lot of holes in that elephant.
So I think one of the key things, you know, I'm in sales. I have to send out the message of what Train and Maintain does, but it's really building a repeatable, scalable and auditable training process. So for me, I'm definitely one of those people as well that I'll just be like, I just want to quickly go back to that bit so I can refresh my memory before I make a huge mistake on doing something on this piece of tech. So something like this, I mean, even for my boiler, for any household appliance, I would love to have something like this.
Don't fix your own boiler. Right. I would love to fix my own, but I just also don't want the house to flood. Yeah. I'm going to skip past the next one because actually the solution. Like, Envoke is a solution to many of these problems, and it is becoming a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
It's like that thing that guy said. How is this any different for a video? We are in a position where people are jumping on tech to go, that is different to a video, I can see it now. And Envoke already does all this stuff. So let's skip through this one and get to this one where we show sort of how Envoke works with the Apple Vision Pro and the Meta Quest 3.
Yeah, this is very cool.
Yeah, I've never used a D100, which is what this device is, because I'm not a scientist, I was a filmmaker, I don't know if I mentioned it. Right? And I wanted to know, could I set up a run by just using Envoke in the machine? So our friends over at Biorad were more than happy to let me sort of run some tests and see how it all work. I take the Envoke demo that doesn't have to work like this. It can work on a PC or a laptop as well, but it was really useful to take the Envoke virtual demo and put it next to the real product. Right, and move it around and go, okay, now I'm on to the next step, and now I'm on to the next step. I'm constantly checking. And this is where I did a calibration, right? I don't know anything about calibration. Apparently it's important. These tools need calibrating. So I was like, this is a really important step. I was able to use the virtual demo to guide me through it and constantly reference it before I press a button. I can go back and forth through the virtual one. Imagine doing that with a video. You're scrubbing back and forth over and over again. Yeah. It's just different, right? It's a simulated version of the tool against the real version of the tool. And off it goes in, and I've calibrated, in the process of calibrating the D100. And when I'm done with it, just look at your fingers and tap it, and the demo goes away. Like that, because we built the demo, you could say that I knew a little bit about it, but I actually went nowhere near us making that demo. It was done by the team. And I got access to a D100. I was like, don't tell me where anything is. Just give me the calibration pack and give me it, because I don't know where those things are. Once he gave them to me, I was like, I will go through and figure out how to do this. And
it looks like you did a fairly good job.
Well, it didn't set fire. So, like,
the office is still in place.
They're still talking to me. They emailed me before. There's no lasting damage or anything. So it's putting the product in people's hands, right? And access to products is a real problem. You buy one of them, right? you train a bunch of people on it, and then some of those people leave. And you go, okay, to train these people again, we're going to have to put them on the device itself. Yeah. And if we're doing that, it means that device isn't making any money.
Yeah, no gaps in knowledge, no loss of cash.
No. And you do it side by side. When you're doing those bits, I'm going to go back and do it again, but when you are checking in Envoke, you're reading it, it's like, now press this button, now wait to hear this click, now this, it's tactile. You can't do this necessarily with the video unless you're going to carry a screen around with it, right?
No.
You could take a laptop or an iPad, you can still do that, but this is just showing the way you can access it. Now, one of the cool things you can do is if you are stuck, you can call a technician and they will guide you through an Envoke demo while you're on the device. You can scale up your training and you can also scale up your maintenance. Yeah. Yeah.
I think for me, it's just that, you know, reducing carbon footprint as well. It's so important. There's less people having to travel here, there and everywhere. Yeah. There's less time out of the office for people so they can actually get on, do their jobs. They're not having to wait around.
That's all anybody cares about, right?
Yeah.
It's got to do the job. When a machine breaks, it would be better if it just got fixed.
Yeah.
And if you can go, the reason it broke is because you spilled coffee in it, do you need to send a technician out for that? No.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening at the moment.
Yeah. But it's just allowing scalability, and for this, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can have that. Mm-hmm. So even if you're in the deepest, darkest lab in, I don't know.
Come on, pick somewhere.
Outer Mongolia.
Okay.
And you don't have Wi-Fi. I think that's also really important to mention as well. It can all be made available offline. Yeah. So it is just constantly, you can get it 24/7 no matter where you are. You're not waiting for somebody to wake up in a different time zone to be able to help you. Mm-hmm. You can do that. Yeah. And just know that, yes, I can fix it. No, I can't. I need to wait for somebody to be online. So it's just giving people, more control over their day.
It's access, right? It's just giving people access whenever they need it. So I'm going to skip past this next one because I'm going to move to this one, which is traditionally how training is done. Right? This is traditional training against ours and what we're building at the moment with the train and maintain version. The core of Envoke doesn't really change. It's a virtual version of your product. But this is a problem, right? We do training and then people work. And the reason it exists is because this is, it's a bit of a tangent here, but this method of training was all developed back in the Industrial Revolution, right? Where machines were quite basic. So you train somebody and it's like, pull this lever, right? Machines have become way more complicated, but training hasn't moved. Training is still done with this. Show someone else to use it and then they should be able to use it. Well, that mentality is stuck way back in steam engines. Right? So the method that we do with Envoke is that we take that training and we split it across the whole workflow. You never are not training. You're always pulled back to it. You always use it as a crutch to learn. It's not something that we're expecting people to absorb all the information at the start and then just carry on. Right? You need to keep on going back and having these touch points that people can tick off and go, okay, the machine's updated, I know what I'm doing with it. So that's our methodology behind it. And it comes with a bunch of pillars of like training that we're doing and things that we're working on. But ultimately, we are trying to drag the industry out of that old way of learning into this new way, which is giving people access and giving people the capacity to constantly learn. Yeah. And we're developing a platform with it, right? So if this is going to play, the new version of Envoke is based on us becoming more of a learning management solution. It has all the new tech stuff in it as well. So we have the pass-through stuff for the AR. It has your ability to do a demo to 130 people across the world, right? On different devices, on phones, on laptops, on VR headsets. But the core of it, we are giving the people in the lab a way to access those products as well. The way it's been done, every single product goes in that people put in from their company, and then they send that out to a lab, and they can assign it to users, they can see insights, so we can track the way people are learning. It's all done through having that virtual, practical learning as well. Yeah. So I know I waffle, right? And ramble on for myself, but this to me is really exciting because I'm like, we have a way to take people's pre-existing training materials and put it in the Envoke platform and then give them a point where they go, I've done this learning, now I'm going to put that to the test on a virtual version, and then if I need it, I will take that virtual version to the real one as well.
Yeah.
So it closes the loop a little bit.
That's, I think, a big bit.
Yeah, right.
It's very good.
Yeah, well, it should be. Right? That's the plan.
Yeah, no, I mean, it looks great.
Yeah.
For sure.
But
Easy to use.
Yeah, people have spent a lot of money on their own training material already. We're not doing away with that. We're saying that we'll take all your existing training material and we'll put it into the Envoke platform. It's not going to exist in isolation. Right?
Yeah.
It's going to be one place someone can come in, they can log on and they can work through the questionnaires you've already done. They can work through the compliance stuff. We are going for FDA approval with the platform, so the certifications we'll be giving out will be, when you've proven that you can use this machine, you get a big Envoke certificate.
Yeah.
So.
It's all very exciting.
It is. We're in a good place with it at the moment, right? So I don't think there was too much more to go through. We had the training pillars. We don't need to go into this. This is not as fun or as interesting as the concept of just going, I take my product and I put it next to the real one.
Yeah, I think that really is like the highlight for me, because I think somebody that hasn't come from the tech background, video, you know, none of this, all of this is very new to me as well, because I've not worked with Envoke for that long. But to see it from where it's gone 4 years ago to seeing this, it's kind of new worldly, and it is just, it's miles away from where we were even 6 months ago. And the plan was there. This was always in, you know, this was always in the making. But to see it in real life or virtually is pretty amazing.
So we're buying a device.
Yep.
So one of our customers is selling us a device. So the next LinkedIn Live, you can try and do this and not set fire to the office.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll give it my best shot. Yeah.
We'll be able to do it. Have we got any questions, Tom? No questions whatsoever. Brilliant. So
why were you late?
Well, why were you late? Well, we get Tom on and ask him then. So no, he's just shaking his head. All right, we're going to be sharing loads more stuff about this. If you have questions about all this new tech or the Vision Pro or the Quest or anything like that, if you put your product into Envoke, all that stuff's already taken care of. You don't need to worry or stress about it at all. You can currently still use Envoke to save you lots of money shipping products to events, and you can do it. You can save a lot of money and scale up your sales enablement with it, but what we are working on at the moment is also this ability to train and maintain those products as well. You can save silly amounts of money.
Yeah.
But you can also empower the user to get on with their job.
Yeah. I think, it'd be worth mentioning as well, with this, we're going to our first field service event in a week. And
is it only a week?
It's in a week.
I've really just got over the jet lag from the last one. Yeah,
but I think it would be really good because we're just this is the first time we've really spoken about it in a public forum. But we're going there. We'll take a headset with us. We'll have an instrument with us, and it'll be great to show people, get initial feedback. So I think if anyone does have any feedback after they've watched this, we're open to all of it. Any questions that you've got after watching it, please send them to us, because this is really important for us to make sure that we're hitting the right notes with the messaging, that we're solving the right problems for people. And if, again, another thing that I'll ask is if people have got any events that they attend in terms of training, field service, we're open to all suggestions as well, because we're just really trying to break into that space.
I think anybody from Apple or Meta wants to get in touch with us about how we're working with your product in the industry, because those people need that stuff in a moment, right?
Yeah.
We take these virtual products and we give people access. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We are also giving away a headset at the event, aren't we?
We are. Breaking news.
Breaking news. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for anybody who tuned in. Sorry for the technical issues at the start, but
You will never experience that with Envoke.
Yeah, no, Envoke just works right out of the box. It's Vimeo that doesn't. So yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you again next time. We have to sit here for a moment though as well, don't we? Because we have to shuffle the papers. Shuffle.
And tonight.